Hello, everyone, and welcome to Two White Guys.
How are we going to get through this?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to
I wasn't back in position yet.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Two Straight White Guys Review Feminist Literature. Today, we're joined by my good friend, Jaden Gelso. He is an author, and at one point was a best-selling new release on Amazon with his young adult dystopian novel, Talon, which is fitting because... I remember the Talon, and that's fitting because today we're talking about The Handmaid's Tale, which is a feminist dystopian novel.
Like, I thought the writing style was incredible. The writing style isn't like anything I've ever read, and it's very unique in terms of the world building and stuff like that. And I found a lot of the world building really interesting and thought-provoking, but like you said, a lot of the more like, philosophical or political social commentary.
Right, well, it's anti-Christian.
The author says it's not anti-religion, it's anti-religion used in a tyrannical way, which she believes is a very different thing. And I would agree with that as well.
I understand what you're saying, but I think her idea of what good religion would be is very... Like, at one point, Offred prays to God.
She does.
And it's like this weird, like, hippie prayer, like, just like, give us love and, like, help us to all, my God, who art in the kingdom of heaven, which is within. I wish you would tell me your name, the real one, I mean. What is that? Your real name? Not God, not Jesus, your real name that goes beyond all these, like, petty, traditional religions.
There are a lot of things I found to like about it, like, the world building, and especially, like, the vivid
It was compelling. At times I found myself, like, oh man, we gotta stop the patriarchy before this. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is all made up. None of this is actually happening. That's not what's actually going on.
Yeah.
I will say, I found it a little bit derivative of 1984.
Oh yeah, the ending.
Especially at the end, where it's like the whole history.
Spoiler alert, the whole history, but then at the same time, also the way it ended, just abruptly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, 1984, the final line is, he loved Big Brother. The final, scene in this is her getting taken away. Just a few months ago, I took a detailed class on George Orwell, and one of the things that my professor talked about was how so many of the words that Orwell came up with are now just part of our vocabulary.
Yeah.
And it seems like Atwood sort of wanted to try and do that with this novel, but it felt a little bit like fan fiction, like feminist fan fiction. However, I do still stand by the fact that I think the world was very unique and very interesting, especially the idea of religion used as sort of a tyrannical device, because they are under a theocracy, and I see a lot of parallels between this book and Islam, or potentially the Catholic Church from ancient Rome. I see similarities between the two of them.
Well, actually, I would say medieval Christianity in general has always been very respectful of women. It's been like this servitude, or like where they're like sex slaves and stuff like that. That's always been completely opposite to Christianity.
It has, yes.
And really, my fundamental problem with this book is that she's trying to critique, religious extremism and patriarchy, but she does so by creating this like complete straw man that does not exist in the real world. And pretty much the only time that something like this has ever really happened is the Taliban in Afghanistan, which is horrible. Yeah, I mean, the Taliban is awful, the way they treat women, but that's totally an exception.
It's an extreme, and I mean,
it's like taken way beyond the pale of anyone else has ever had patriarchy like that.
Oh yeah, it was an interesting idea as well, in using that like sort of in in an American
context, yeah,
in
with
an
like
American context.
kind of this like fundamentalist,
yeah,
like,
sort
Baptist
of this like yeah,
version
sort
of
this like
version of the Taliban.
Yeah,
it's an interesting idea.
It was an interesting idea. Like I thought it was interesting. Like just distilling it down to the main question of the book, which is like, what would happen if the extremism of Islam was used by modern day Christians in America? And that was very interesting. I thought that was an interesting idea to explore. Now, I don't believe anything like this, especially in our day and age now. I don't believe anything like this would happen. No. In America, at least. But it did have some interesting commentary. It did. I will give it credit for not just portraying all men as horrible human beings.
Yeah, like the commander's an actual like
commander is a sympathetic person.
Yeah.
Nick
so
is a sympathetic person.
And Luke.
What I do respect about it is that even though this is a feminist novel, Atwood didn't just try to throw all the blame on men for everything, because she did show how this sort of patriarchal theocracy affects men in a bad way as well. I mean, at one point she talks about the commander and how his sort of role as of using Offred as a sort of sex slave was as much of a job and a burden on him as it was her.
Well, I think that goes to show that this is not what male leadership would ever be like, because it's not enjoyable for the men at all.
No.
Like, having this, like, handmaid who's, like, just laying there, it's like, it explicitly says, like, he's not enjoying this.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, zoned out. He's like, he hates this. This is miserable for the men. One thing I thought was really funny is, on the back of the book, there's this quote from the Houston Chronicle that's like, an excellent novel. Read it while it's still allowed. And I'm like, first of all, that is so LARPy. Like, oh, they're coming after us. They're going to ban our feminist literature.
I'm sure that quote, like you said, was said in the 80s. When feminism was less mainstream. However, nowadays that quote is incredibly cringe.
Leftists in general have this persecution complex where they always think that like the government's getting taken over by like radical conservatives, and like fascism is like right around the corner if we don't.
And yet they can't explain the definition of fascism.
Well, it's a meaningless word.
Oh, absolutely. Like George Orwell said, it's a meaningless word.
Oh, did he say that?
He did say that. He talks about
He
talks about how in politics and the English language, he talks about how so many words, not just fascism, but so many words just have no meaning. And he does discuss fascism. He says, fascism has no meaning now except in the fact that it signifies something not desirable.
Yeah, exactly. Something bad.
Something bad. Basically what he said, fascism means bad. And that's all that people can seem to define about it, but they can't define what it actually means.
When I bring this up, leftists will always point to Umberto Eco's 14 Points of Fascism, which is where he basically tried to describe it. If you're trying to define a word with 14 different points, first of all, it's just vague at that point. But also, the points are like, defends tradition, defends hierarchy. I'm like, wait a minute, this is just the definition of conservative. Like, literally any conservative would fit, like, a lot of those 14 points.
Donald Trump is Hitler. He's the reincarnation of Hitler.
Me when Donald Trump burns down the Reichstag and invades Poland and institutes this joy. I think a fundamental issue with this book is that she can't quite decide what she's trying to critique. Yeah. So, is it about patriarchy? Or is it about, this religious extremism? Because the two things are actually quite contradictory. At one point, she literally says, in effect, this is actually matriarchy. Because the ants are just ruling over the women. And, mothers give away their daughters at weddings instead of fathers. It's really not about patriarchy. Because this is not a pure patriarchal system by any means.
It's not at all.
And unlike,
like we said, the men suffer too.
It's also not about religion, because this is, totally anti-Christianity. Christians would never be okay with like sex slaves or like men having multiple different wives.
One of the things that's interesting about this novel is that she takes that idea of self-imposed interpretation and turns it into a sort of tyrannical regime, which can happen and does happen, especially not necessarily in America, but across the world. Stuff like this does.
So you're saying this isn't real Christianity?
It's not real Christianity.
It could happen,
but it's wearing disguise of Christianity.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Which I believe to be the case of multiple denominations nowadays.
I think most people who call themselves Christians probably aren't Christians.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I mean, you have like Donald Trump being like, in 2 Corinthians, it's like, You've never read the Bible before, dude.
I've read the Bible more times than most people, probably more than Jesus himself.
Right.
That doesn't make sense.
What has Jesus
read the Bible?
That's a good question. We'll have to pass over to Holy Heretic.
Oh yeah, go check out Holy Heretic.
But I mean, you're right. It's not real Christianity. It's not real patriarchy. So what is it actually? And I think what Margaret Atwood accidentally wrote a book about is totalitarianism.
Oh yeah,
because this is not religion or patriarchy. What it is like this, like total control of everyone's lives, men and women alike.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is a victim of this.
Yeah,
and they're all having like the tiny minutia of their lives controlled by this like totalitarian regime.
What I would have liked to have seen more of was the actual regime. Like you see, its effects. You see like you see the ants and stuff, but they're also just sort of pawns in this society. Like they're used to indoctrinate people. But what I would have loved to have seen were the actual higher ups. Like
the commander is pretty high up.
The commander is pretty high up, but
although he does get purged.
He does
right after the book.
He does. But an interesting thing to see would have been like, oh, does this society have a president? Does it have like a council that's running everything? That would have been interesting to me, like to see what that sort of looked like, because that was kept vague. And in 1984, that's kept vague as well. I mean, like you don't see the higher ups except for O'Brien, but he's more again sort of like a propaganda machine that's used to indoctrinate people.
I think in this book, Joseph Campbell's The Power of Myth, one of my favorite books, he makes a really good point about totalitarianism, which is that it's not actually the rule of any given man or any given set of people. Because in a totalitarian regime like fascism or communism or whatever, the state is bigger than everyone else, even the highest up people. Anyone can be purged and nobody actually has control over the situation. And he says that Darth Vader is a really good symbol of that, because Darth Vader has lost his humanity by serving in this totalitarian regime and has been turned into a...
because he does save Luke at the end.
Well, yeah, but he's literally been turned into a machine.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true.
And so
which is a good metaphor for his inner...
Well, yeah, and what Campbell says is that totalitarianism turns all its tools, even the people who think they're the leaders, into machines.
Oh yeah,
slaves.
For sure, 100%.
So, the commander may have all this power and maybe he gets to do all these things, but his life is completely miserable. He can't do what he wants. He is barely surviving on like these like relics of the old days.
Yeah, which
is a really tragic image.
It is.
I really love that part.
When he brought out the first magazine.
Yeah.
The first time he brought out a magazine, and it was like, she was like, this is a relic of the old days, and like the way she sort of responded to it with like a longing was definitely a very interesting scene and powerful scene.
The reason I like that, and I think it goes against Margaret Atwood's overall worldview, I'm going to do my thing. The Handmaid's Tale is a fundamentally conservative book. What I mean by that is, even though she is not conservative and she is critiquing patriarchy, what the actual effect of the book is to make us nostalgic for this world and like our normal everyday middle class lives. And like even the little things like magazines in stores and like going grocery shopping. It's like, you need to be grateful for what you have. And that is a conservative message.
Absolutely. And there are so many people nowadays who are just either so far left or so far right that they hate anything the other side has to offer. And one of the things that, I critique about liberalism is that there's just such a disdain for the past, such a disdain for the old, you could say. And this book doesn't have that. It actually has a love for the past. Some of the messaging was... more nostalgia, and look at these things that we take for granted. That could one day just be non-existent.
Right.
And like what would happen if just in this world, this was written in the 80s, so it's more 80s nostalgia. Nowadays we have like electronic magazines. You don't really see physical magazines that much anymore. But what I did get the sentiment, and what I got was like, oh, there's this thing that's just such a part of normal life. What would happen if it just disappeared and you didn't see one for 10 years, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere you see a magazine sitting on the table? Like what sort of emotions would that conjure up?
There's a blog post I read one time that made me cry at the time. It was one of those things where you're reading it late at night and it just really hits you. And it was like, imagine you have one last day on Earth. The things you would spend it on are not grand adventures and going to the mountains and climbing Mount Everest or something. You would want to go grocery shopping one more time. and like see the grocery store, like all these tiny little like everyday things that are really have so much beauty in them, and that is really what you would miss if it was your last day on Earth.
100%. Yeah. She began writing this book in longhand while she was living in West Berlin, which was still encircled by the Berlin Wall.
Oh, wow.
And she said the Soviet Empire was still strongly in place and was not to crumble for another 5 years. Every Sunday, the East German Air Force made sonic booms to remind us of how close they were.
Oh, really?
So she was sort of living in a, sort of underneath a sort of dictatorial regime at the time. She talks about the 3 questions that she's often asked, and one of them is whether or not The Handmaid's Tale is a feminist novel. She says, if you mean an ideological tract in which all women are angels and or are so victimized they are incapable of moral choice, then no. Mm-hmm. If you mean a novel in which women are human beings with all the variety of character and behavior that implies, and are also interesting and important, and what happens to them is crucial to the theme, structure, and plot of the book, then yes. In that sense, many books are feminist. She says the book is not anti-religion, it is against the use of religion as a front for tyranny, which is a different thing altogether. And extremism on any side of a political or social issue is never the right path.
Unless you are extremely on my side, in which case you're
unless you're extremely on my side, not his.
We're on the same side, Jaden.
Oh yeah. Overall, I'd say 3 out of 5 stars, mainly for the world building and the intriguing aspect of that, and the sort of commentary on religion. The writing style is very unique, very poetic in a lot of ways. There were times where it felt a little bit too, purple prosy, but I could get past that easily. So overall, I would say I liked it. I liked it.
On the criticizing religion, there is one thing that she did get right, which is that religion, even Christianity, especially like in the medieval times or like in early America, is very repressive of sexuality. Like in medieval Europe, you couldn't have sex on Sunday, even with your wife. You couldn't have sex on any of these feast days or like all the time. And it's like, what's the purpose of that? Like, why do we need to repress sex so much when it's something God created and then it's good?
It's something that God created not only for procreation and the survival of the human race, but also for the beauty of a husband and a wife coming together in unity, sort of symbolizing the unity that they have in Christ. And that's a beautiful thing, and that's not to be suppressed.
All right. This has been 2 Straight White Guys Review Feminist Literature.
Are we really going to title it that?
Yes, that's a beautiful title. And thanks for watching. Follow his Instagram at author Jaden Gelso, no spaces.
No asterisks, no anything.
And if you're here from Jaden's fan base, and you like politics or social commentary,
then follow this guy.
Subscribe.
Follow Arthur Greenwood.
That's right. Thanks for watching. Good to have you, Jaden.
Good to have.
God bless America. Good to have you.
Hold on, wait. We should redo that ending. Can I say God bless America too? Wait, not this. Which arm is it again?
I don't think it matters.
I think it does, because one of them is like.
Well, we're shaking hands with this one, so it will have to be this one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the thing is, one of them means like dishonorable, and the other one means honorable.
Wait, really? I didn't even know that.
I think that's the. Hold on, let me look at it. Imagine if you've been doing the wrong.
There's a good chance I've been.
It just says right hand.
No, we can't salute with right hand and shake with left. Well, it'll look goofy anyway, both of us saluting. So, all right, Jaden, thanks for being on the show, and thanks for watching, everyone.
God bless America. That was so cringe. Oh my gosh.
All right, I'm just not gonna say God bless America.
Okay, yeah. I should probably say thank you for having me.
Yes.
Instead of just like.
All right, Jaden, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. Everyone, thanks for watching. Have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day.
Praise be, that was a beautiful film.
Blessed be the strong female protagonist.
These are exciting times. The channel is growing. People are waking up. The masses are becoming Arthur Greenwood pilled. But we still have a long way to go. My last channel was demonetized, and they might do the exact same thing to this one. So, if you like what I do and you want to help me out, if you want to help my channel grow, there are 4 things you can do. 1. Leave a comment. Just say anything, literally anything, and that will be a huge help for the algorithm. 2. Send the video to a friend. I know you have some normie friend who needs to hear this. 4, most importantly, consider joining my Patreon. You'll get access to the Arthur Greenwood archive, where you can watch my really controversial videos that I can't put on YouTube, including my really old videos from when I was like a democratic Voshite socialist. There's even the hour-long debate I had about anarcho-capitalism. You'll also get to join our members-only Discord server, where you can talk with me and the boys about life and politics and history. It's a great time. We have weekly phone calls, and I have genuinely become really good friends with some of the guys in the server. Because we have to stick together, you know? It's rough out there. We need networks of highly disciplined, highly intelligent men. If you want to join my network, all it costs is $1 a month. That adds up to $12 a year, which is nothing. That's less than an hour of work. And in exchange, you get to be my friend forever.